In this tutorial we're going to look at color correction in Premiere Pro. Color correction is what we do when we have clips where we need to alter the level or the qualities or the colors of the clips involved. Okay, so we've got our project here. Now you see we've got a little folder here which says needs grading, and when we open this folder up we'll see that all of the clips look like they've got too much blue in them. Now this kind of thing happens when a camera operator has been shooting inside under tungsten light, and when they come to shoot outside they don't re-white balance the camera. So all the color grades in this are different. You see, look, the skin tones on our original clips, and then when we go to look at our kind of needs grading clips, we see that all the colors are off. However, we can fix that, but in order to fix that, what we need to do is we need to find one of these clips in the sequence that we shot that has got some white in it. And as you can see in this clip here, we've found exactly that clip. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new sequence by dragging that clip down, and you see it opens up in the new sequence. Yeah, and we're opening a new sequence because actually we're going to do all of our grading in this sequence and then put the sequence back into the original project. Okay, so we now have our clip in our color correction sequence, and we're just going to bring the clips down so we can see them in the project bin. And as we can see, this is the thing that needs grading. This is the clip we're going to work on. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually open up our video effects folder, and by coming here, as you can see I've had it open already, but I'll just show you how we find that through the root menu. Here are our main things. We're going to go to video effects, open that up, and there'll be one called color correction, and we're going to open that folder up by hitting the little triangle, and the one we're looking for is the fast color corrector. Okay, and this is the one we use for color correction rather than color grading, which is something else. Okay, we then drop that onto the clip, hit the effects tab, and then we have all of these kind of editable controls, just as we've seen when we've put other effects on. Yeah. Now the thing that we know that is out on this clip is the white balance. Yeah. So what we need to do is scroll through this clip until that piece of white in the background becomes visible, the white on the house. Yeah, so we can see that in the frame. We can then go to, we're also going to split the view here, so you'll be able to see the difference between the bit that's been corrected and the bit that hasn't been corrected. We're then going to take the color picker, pick the white in the background, so we're telling the computer what white is, and immediately you can see the difference. The clip on the left hand side, this is like the split view. Right, I've just changed that around so it's horizontal and vertical now. Right, so you can see how the top half has been color graded and is now like closer to the skin tones than the original. You can see, look, blue on the right, skin tones are correct on the left hand side. Yeah, now you can see that was a really quick correction. Yeah. You can see it's much clearer now. You can actually see the skin tones on the right and the skin tones on the left are different. And actually the effect is on the entire clip. We're just using the split tone so we can see the difference. And when I take that out or put it back in, you can actually see the changes that it's been made. However, that's not all we need to do with the grade. As you can see, the dynamic range on this is a bit low. You know, the whites aren't that white. So we're going to go down here to the black and white levels. We're going to click the black picker, pick something black in the image, and tell the computer this is the darkest point of the image. Right, and that will then darken the whole thing, all of the blacks down. So this is called like crushing the blacks down. Yeah, so look how we did that. And we're going to do the same with the white. And we're telling it what the level is. Now that's a little bit extreme. However, we've got these sliders underneath that we can then alter, yeah, by eye until we've got something that falls into round about the range that we want. And obviously if we want to lighten or darken, we've got these three, and this is very similar to altering things in Photoshop. Yeah, as you can see, we've made these alterations Right, and again we're taking the split view out, and we can see this is what the clip looks like before and this is after. Okay, I still think that's probably a little bit extreme. So again, we're taking the black levels down a little bit so it's not so contrasty. See, that's actually getting to be quite nice now. Yeah, now I'm going to take the effect out before and after. Just by clicking the FX button, you can see the alteration, how just in a couple of seconds we've managed to regrade that clip. Yeah, so that's kind of a much more acceptable level than it was in the beginning. Yeah. We need more than just our eyes in order to judge whether a clip is correctly graded. So in Premiere Pro we can actually come up to the menu, change the display, so we go into a display called color correction. Now color correction offers us the opportunity to turn one of these windows into scopes, in this case an RGB parade, which will show us how much red, green and blue light is in any given image, on the range between 0 and 225, which is the top end. Yeah, so basically we can now make alterations in terms of like the intensity of the white, so that how much of the top end is actually pure white, and at the bottom end how much of the dark image is pure black. Yeah, and we can do that on meters rather than relying on our eyes. And this is really important because obviously our eyes deal with color in a relative manner, which is one of the reasons we always need a reference to see what we were doing before and what we were doing after. Having used the meters and checked out, fine-tuned our grade, we can then go back to the editing window. Right, this is our clip and we've now color corrected it to an acceptable level from where it was before. We can now go back to our original ungraded clips. Now obviously it would be like a real pain to have to grade each of these clips individually if that's what we were going to do, but what we can do here is actually take each of these clips and drop them on the timeline. Yeah, this is our color correction timeline. And as you can see, they're not graded. They're still got far too much blue against our graded clip. Yeah, but we can click on our clip, and by copying it, going Apple C on Macs and Control C on a PC, we can then select all of the other clips. Yeah, and this tool, the second cursor down, selects everything to the right of the cursor. Yeah, so we can use that for selecting all of the other clips on that timeline. Yeah, okay. And then by control clicking or right clicking on that and hitting paste attributes, that will then actually copy the color correction to each of those clips. So what that means is all of the clips shot in that one location, whether they've got any white in them or not that you could use in order to regrade it, have now got the same color correction on as our original clip. So they're all going to be roundabout sort of correct. And obviously you'll need to go back and alter each one, but actually you know, it's most of the work's been done. Now obviously you would need to render this out, and to render what you do is you hit the return key. Okay, now because this is a color correction and I'm recording this screencast on one of the older sort of like Mac machines, you'll see that it's taking an awful long time to render out this correction. Obviously on newer and faster machines you can actually render this out in a couple of seconds, depending on the amount of processing that needs to be done. Yeah, but normally you would render this out completely and then those clips would be usable as individual clips or as a sequence. Yeah, but as you can see this is taking a long time, so we're just going to cancel this because we haven't got time in the screencast to render it through. Okay, so now when we go back up and we look at our original sequence, so we're clicking over to that sequence from our color corrected sequence on the stuff that we've already edited. Now the thing that's really interesting that we can do in Premiere Pro now is, assuming that you've color graded those clips and you've also edited that sequence, which we didn't do, is you can then actually decide to, rather than pasting those color corrected clips over, you can actually just copy in the sequence, and we do that by lining up the end of the end of our piece, and then picking our color correction sequence. Yeah, so we're just going to find that, and we'll find that that's in the grading bin, so we're going to need to double click, we're going to need to click that to get that up. We can actually take that sequence, drag it onto the end of the thing, and we can actually drop the entire sequence onto our timeline. So rather than having to move the individual clips, we can actually move our entire color corrected sequence onto our master timeline, and this fundamentally is the workflow for color correcting and moving color corrected sequences in Premiere Pro.